We have a new episode in the Trump 2024 reality show. We have his reactions to Nikki Haley launching her campaign. Former President Trump on Wednesday attacked new Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley, his former United Nations ambassador, for her previous support of cutting Medicare and Social Security. An email titled "The Real Nikki Haley" sent minutes after her official campaign launch event. The Trump campaign noted Haley supported former Speaker Paul Ryan's plan to eliminate Medicare and turn it into a voucher system. He also highlighted a 2010 Fox News interview where Haley indicated Congress should be looking to cut Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. Trump has leaned into attacking his current and potential 2024 rivals on entitlements, looking to exploit divisions in the Republican Party over the issue, just as President Biden and the Democrats are doing. Biden used his State of the Union address last week to accuse Republicans of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare, baiting them into loudly booing his remarks. Trump is pushing a similar attack on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who has not officially declared his candidacy but is seen as Trump's main rival for the 2024 GOP nomination. While Republicans have long favored cutting or even eliminating Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, Trump's 2016 campaign marked a stark recalibration of those long-held positions, beginning on the very first day of his candidacy in 2015 when he vowed to save Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security without cuts. But as president, every one of his White House budget proposals included cuts to Social Security and Medicare programs. Republican leaders are facing pressure from their right flank to slash federal spending and rein in deficits, and entitlements have emerged as ground zero for that debate. I'm actually going to read two articles and then go over my position. And the second one's not that long. It's just a little addendum on top of the other one. Former President Trump said he is glad that Nikki Haley is jumping into the Republican primary for the White House in 2024, hours after slamming the former South Carolina governor for previously supporting cuts to Medicare and Social Security. "I'm glad she's running," Trump said in an interview with Fox News. "I want her to follow her heart, even though she made a commitment that she would never run against who she called the greatest president of her lifetime." Haley's presidential bid comes as other figures who were previously considered Trump allies are weighing a challenge against the former president, who announced his campaign right after the 2022 midterm elections. Trump said the possible opposition isn't affecting him, saying of the race, the more the merrier. So, every now and again, because I said before, Trump, after leaving the White House, has been kind of just this vapid, void, substanceless figure that sits on social media and really just isn't contributing to any real discussion. But the one thing I've liked out of his remarks he's made since mounting his third straight presidential bid are mentioning that Republicans want to cut Social Security and Medicare. And I am glad that he mentioned this of Haley, because I said of my previous coverage of Haley that she decided for some reason, whether it was her advisors, whether it was just her natural instincts as a politician, to launch her campaign with a 3-minute video that really told us nothing about her actual positions. And while we had more discussion of what she actually believed during her campaign launch speech, it still wasn't that much. There was a lot of stuff about, just anecdotal things that are not related to actual issues. So if Trump mentioning her past record of wanting to cut Social Security and Medicare is something that can get her to actually speak about things that matter, then I'm all for it. And I do think it's important to also mention, and I'm glad the article mentioned, that he's no hero himself, because as president, he included in his various budgets multiple proposals to cut the same programs that he's now saying he wouldn't cut. So really, it's kind of interesting that we have this field of people where, as far as getting a person who you know is not going, who when I say we know has no record of like proposing to cut Social Security and Medicare, really has no heroes. There's really no one on the Republican side that you can guarantee is not going to try to do that or hasn't tried in the past. But what I like about Trump's role in this race is that, as someone who wants to keep his front runner status, even if he's rewriting history himself by casting it as if, these other Republicans were so villainous to go after these two programs, even though I did the exact same thing, at least he's talking about an actual substantive issue. No culture war, no, stuff. I mean, just it's nice to see people actually discussing issues in a presidential election for once. Now, where he says the more the merrier, what that is, and we talked about this before. I said that Trump is probably afraid of DeSantis because DeSantis, out of all the Republicans, comes the closest to beating him or polling well against him. But in the case of Haley and the rest of them, Trump knows that if enough of them get in this race, it could be 6 people, it could be 8 people, 9, 10. If enough of those no chance of winning but ego-driven pricks get in this race, they can split the vote, and depending how long they stay in the race, hand the nomination to Trump. Because he's the one who, out of all of them, has an actual base of support. Like, really, the only candidates I would say have like a slight chance of actually having people that are going to stick with them no matter what are probably just DeSantis people outside of Trump. Because a lot of DeSantis people really do like him. I mean, you don't get 40 and 30% without even announcing and nobody likes you. But as far as Haley and the rest of them, the only chance that she has, and this is why I said she was smart for getting in this early, is to, over the next couple of months, peel away at not Trump's support, but DeSantis' support, which I don't think she will, not by any significant degree, and hope that by the time DeSantis gets in, she's polling closer to them, it's more competitive, because right now she's getting smashed. You know, you like ignoring. It's always interesting that news media on TV, when some person they deem major like announces they're running for president, they cut off everything else. They play the whole speech. They talk about the person and their background, and you know they analyze their chances of win. But then I noticed they seem to never actually show polls, because the kind of polling that Haley was getting, that 1%, 2%, if I were Fox or CNN or one of these other networks, I wouldn't have stopped what I was doing for that. I would have said, hey, come back when you're actually polling on top. You know, like don't try to make it see I tell you, like it's artificial support where you see this person and they're announcing their campaign and there's like 400 people there that are probably paid. For those of you that forgot, Trump's 2015 announcement had people that were paid to be there. So they have all these people that are there. It looks like they've got this big base of support. In his case, he did, but I don't think she does. And then after the announcement, they just sit at 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5% for month after month before getting either destroyed in Iowa or running out of money. And I think that's exactly the way Haley was talking. And if Trump keeps going in on her on various things that he can attack her over, like trying to cut Medicare and Social Security, she probably will end up having that fate. And again, it's not about the whole GOP voter base just being so madly in love with Trump and they would never abandon him no matter what. Because there's a lot of people that are actually wanting to see DeSantis win. It really comes down to having candidates who don't stand for anything, who are running on nothing, who are just these substanceless husk of individuals. Like, you know, if Haley put out an official campaign launch and she said in that video, in the past, I've made the mistake of wanting to cut Medicare and Social Security, but now I see that that's not something we should do. And I want to have peaceful relations with North Korea. And, you know, like if she actually, even if you disagree with it, gave substance-based reasons for her to be elected, then she might be getting a little bit of support. But as things stand, we're gonna keep seeing her polling at that single-digit number for the rest of the year. So I'm glad Trump brought this up. I wish that more people would recognize he is a charlatan because he wouldn't do the exact same thing himself. But, you know, at least we got a little bit of substance today.